Welcome everyone. In this video, we are going to see how to deploy a PHP application using AWS OpsWorks. In the previous video, I have explained about the AWS OpsWorks and its different services in AWS OpsWorks, and I have explained more about AWS OpsWorks stacks, and followed by that, I have explained the components of AWS OpsWorks stacks. So I'm just going to give a recap of that video so that you will get a better understanding of AWS OpsWorks services, and followed by that we will go for a demo. Now, AWS OpsWorks is a configuration management service that provides managed instance of Chef and Puppet to automate our application management operations. The main building blocks of OpsWorks include stacks, layers, instance, apps. Stacks is a top-level building block that is used to model our application with the help of layers. And the second one is the layers. So it's a separate level of a stack to separate the concerns of our application. So layers can be categorized by responsibilities such as web, application, and database layers. And third one is the instances. EC2 instances that are associated with our stack layers to perform the necessary task at each level of our application. And the fourth one is the code that want to be deployed and ran our instances in a layer. So these are all the main building blocks of OpsWorks. So here in this video, we will be building a block to create and deploy a simple PHP application using AWS OpsWorks. I have already logged into the AWS account. I'm going to search for AWS OpsWorks. Here you can see it, OpsWorks. So once this will be your launch wizard for the AWS OpsWorks, and if you see, as we have already discussed, it's a configuration management service that helps to build, and AWS OpsWorks will be providing three solutions: OpsWorks Stacks, OpsWorks for Chef Automate, OpsWorks Buffet Enterprise. So today in this video, we are going to see about OpsWorks Stacks and how to deploy the app layers in OpsWorks Stacks. If you want to know how to deploy or the features of OpsWorks Chef Automate and Buffet Enterprise, let me know in comments so that I will prepare the content or the video on how to deploy or how to deploy the layers on OpsWorks Chef Automate and Buffet Enterprise. So here you can see OpsWorks stack. So this will be define, group, provision, deploy, and operate our application in AWS by using Chef in local mode, right? So if you want to learn more, you can click on this link. You can refer the AWS documentation more about the OpsWorks stacks. So now I'm going to click on go to OpsWorks stacks. So once I have clicked on go to stack, it will be showing like welcome to AWS OpsWorks stack and a video like kind of an introduction. And even you can, there are two options. One is to start fresh or otherwise we can register the existing instances also. So in start fresh, here you can see it will create we can create an AWS OpsWorks stack to model our application components, code, deploy the code, we can configure the instance, and we can easily automate the task also. And here you can see the AWS OpsWorks stack benefits. So now I am going to start with the fresh. Okay, I am going to click on add your first stack. So here you can see actually what is a stack. A stack is a set of layers and instances and related AWS instances whose configuration you want to manage together. And also here you can see there are three stacks that are provided by AWS. One is a sample stack. Sample stack, what will be giving is it will be giving a kind of a pre-configured applications or layers will be there. So we can easily deploy the application kind of Node.js or any other application layer. We can easily build it. So here, shift call stack will be giving, like we can use our own cookbooks and we can use the community cookbooks to perform that. And also, if I can also use shift 11 stack. Here you can use built-in cookbooks for applications and deployment. So here you can see the shift 11 stack is for Linux and shift 12 task is for maybe you can choose a Linux as well as Windows. And also here you can see shift 12 task, the sample task, right? Here you can see it, Linux and Windows operating system type, you can prefer it. So in the stack, we can configure which OS type we are going to use. So I am going to use shift built-in cookbooks, and so I am going to use shift 11 stack. So this stack will be running in Linux, and also the shift version will be 11.10. So I am giving the stack name as OpsWorks, or otherwise maybe I can give Bazaar. Okay. And the region, you can select any region you want to. So I'm just keeping it as a default. And the VPC also, I can select if I have any default VPC and there is no other VPC, then I can go with default. Or otherwise, if you have a VPC, you can select that VPC as well. And the default operating system, I can select even the latest operating system, or I can select this one as well. So I'm selecting the default 2018. And I'm just keeping all the versions, all the options as a default. And here you can see this, even you can select the stack color. So for example, if you have multiple environments like test, staging and production, we can differentiate according to a stack color. So I'm just selecting in the default one. And if I click on advanced, here you can see whether the shift thing need to be back to the EBS thing or the instance store. So I'm just keeping as a default EBS backed. And the IAM role, we needed an IAM role so that it can talk on behalf of our other AWS services. And also default IAM instance profile. And here you can see the API endpoint region. So this will be making an API request, right? So on that case, it is using events version 2, and the host name theme is a layer independent. So we can select any theme for automatically naming our instances. So all the things are by default, I'm keeping it. So I'm clicking on add stack. So here you can see our stack has been created and it is in regional. Now let's explore like the settings or the options which are available under the stack. So once the stack has been created, it will automatically help us. Why? Because this is the first stack, right? So it will be guiding us. The next step is I need to add a layer. So I will be going on to the next one to adding a layer. So here, if you see it, the other options, and even I can attach the tags, and even I can attach the manage the permissions for the stack. Right. And here I can add a layer, or means in the single stack we can easily configure all the things like adding a layer, instance, or deploying an app, monitoring resource, or we can even register the existing resource or the elastic IP address or volume that you wanted. That is also we can do. And even we can monitor them also. And if I click on stack setting, you can see the details of the stack, like which region or which VPC is using. Those things it will be listing out. Even I can even edit the stack also. Okay, the operating system I can update, or the stack color I can update. So here you can see the stack color, right? So that is what it refers to. So now I'm going to add a layer for the specific stack. So I'm clicking on add layer. So here in the add layer, you can see three options. One is for OpsWorks, and another is the Elastic Container Service, and another is the RDS. So I'm going to create a PHP application, right? So I'm going to click on OpsWorks, and in the layer type, you can see there are multiple options are available. So I am going to deploy a PHP app server. So I am going to select PHP app server here. But if you want to deploy Node.js or Java or maybe database service, so likewise you can select any of these things. So I'm selecting PHP app server. So if I am going to select PHP app server, it will have a kind of a blueprint for the instance that need to be function as a PHP application server. So here you can see the elastic load balancers we haven't created. Why? We mean as a demo, we haven't created. We are not using elastic load balancer, but in a real, maybe in a real production, an ELB will even distribute traffic to the instances in those layers, and that will eventually improve the performance of our application, right? So you can configure ELB also. So I'm clicking on add layer. So once the layer has been added, here you can see the multiple different options for the PHP app server. So the same thing like for the stack, you can even add the tag and CloudWatch logs. So this will be enabling this will ship our logs from OpsWorks to CloudWatch. In the meantime, we will go on security. Here you can see the two security groups, one for PHP app server and one for the default. And the EBS volumes, we have one EBS volume attached to this app server, and the network. So as we are going to deploy an app server, right? So it needs some internet connection, like, or it needs to be publicly exposed. So we need a public IP, right? As when we are going to, when you are creating a new layer, within the stack, it will receive only a private IP address, which will be accessible from inside the VPC. But if you want to access outside the VPC, so that application, it need to have an automatically assigned a public IP address. So to do that, I need to go on network, and here you can see automatically assign IP address. I am going to click on yes. I am clicking save. So once I have added the public IP address, next I need to create instances, right? So here you can see, as I already mentioned in the previous video, you can see these are the chef recipes for the specific layer, like almost setup, configure, deploy, undeploy, and shut down. So each there are 18 built-in chef recipes, and each recipe will have its own use case. And also, if you think these built-in chef recipes are not means my custom requirement is not there, we can also even create custom chef recipe as well. And also I said, right, we have an auto healing enable. So for example, if the OpsWorks thing is not working, then it will automatically restart the service so that our app server will be available for 24/7. Means we will not face any application downtime. Now let's add the instance to the PHP app server. I'm clicking on add an instance. So I'm just giving the host name as php-app1 and the size as it is a demo, right? So I'm going to click give T2 micro. And when I click on advanced, it will be showing like 3 scaling types are available. One is 24/7. So 24/7 is like once we start the instance until we stop it, the instance will be running. And there is a time-based one is basically if I am going to have a predictable pattern, we can use a time-based scaling type where we can, for example, from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. My load will be there, and after that there will be no load, so that I can stop my instance. Or otherwise, load-based instance. Load-based instance based upon the load traffic, our instances will be scaled up or scaled down. So I am giving 24/7 itself. So the operating system is going to be the same one, and the volume size is GP2 general purpose volume. So if I want to add any existing offer, that is also possible. So I'm going to click on add instance. So here, if you see, the status is stopped. Why it is stopping is when you are going to, for example, a new layer has been created, and I am going to add an instance to a layer. So that will not automatically start that instance. So it will be in stopped state. So we need to start the instance. So here you can see it, right? Actions start. So I am starting it. And also you can see an interesting thing here is when I click on in here, the status will be in request state, right? So basically, the instance will go through some different actions types. So there are almost 5 different actions will be 5 different status will be happening. So first one is the requested. So the requested is like AWS OpsWorks will call the AWS EC2 service to create an Amazon EC2 instance. So this is the first status, and the second status is the pending. So AWS OpsWorks will be waiting for the EC2 instance to start. So here you can see it is in pending, right? So once the pending is been completed, like once the EC2 instance is started, right? The third one is the booting. So the Amazon EC2 instance will be in booting state. So that is what is depicted status in booting. And once that is booting is completed, the next status will be running underscore setup. So AWS OpsWorks will trigger the setup event, and it will run the layer setup recipes followed by its deploy recipe. And the last one will be the instance will be ready for use, that will be showing as an online. So now it is in booting. So it is in the booting state, and after that it will trigger the setup event. Here you can see booting. Here also you can, as I explained the stages, right? So here also you can see it. So once if it becomes online, it will be in green color. So you can see right, how easy to deploy the instance, or how easy to see the status or what is happening. So those things you can easily manage in AWS OpsWorks. Now you can see it is running the setup. So as I said, right, it will trigger the setup event, and it will run the layer setup recipes followed by its deploy recipes. As I showed you, right, here you can see the setup recipe is now running. Like kind of host key, users, MySQL client dependencies. So these setup recipes are currently running in the instances. Now you can see our PHP app server is in online, and also it is in green color. And now here you can see the SSH thing. And if I click onto the PHP app one, it is in the green color. And also here you can see the logs also. Now it is running the configure recipe. If I want to show the logs, so it will be listing in here. Here you can see the logs, how the things are happening, and it will be showing the updated cookbooks. So these are all it is getting stored, and it is now it is browsing those cookbooks or the packages are installing in. Here you can see the chef ran complete. So these packages and those things has been successfully completed. Now if you see the configure is completed. So likewise, for example, let me open in another tab. In the layers, we have seen those recipes, right? Those recipes are running in order. Setup recipes has been completed, and configure recipe also it is completed. See, these two recipes has been configured and it is now completed. Right, these two are the starting phase, and then the deploy thing we are going to do at the next part. So once this specific application server has been installed, so we need to deploy the PHP application, right? So to do that, I need to go on apps. I'm going to click on add app. So I'm giving the name as buzz, and the type is PHP, as I'm going to deploy the PHP application. And the repository type, I'm just clicking on Git. And the repository URL I'm giving in here. So I'm just using the AWS Labs PHP simple app repository. So for easier version control, I'm giving branch or revision name as version 1. And I'm giving all the things as default, and I'm clicking on add app. So once I add app, this will bring in here, and that needs to be deployed, right? To deploy, here you can see action deploy. So here it will ask like the command, which command I want to run, deploy or undeploy or rollback, start the web server or stop the web server or restart the web server. So which command do you want us to run? So I need to deploy it, right? So I'm just clicking on deploy. And in the advanced, we can give any custom JSON thing do you want to add or not. And also in the instance, you should see the instance which is which we have deployed recently. So it is being selected and it is showing in here. So for this specific instance, the assigned recipes will run. So I'm clicking on deploy. So it will be in pending stage. Here you can see the deployment command is running. So once this becomes successful, within some, we'll wait for some couple of minutes. Post that, we will check for the host name, and we will copy the public IP address, and we'll see our PHP application is running up or not. Here you can see this particular deployment is happening on the PHP app server layer, and the app which we have configured, right, that is running on the specific instance. Now here you can see it is been successful, right? And if I want to see the log, I can click on the log. It will be showing the log files, and even we can download the log file for a future purpose also. Here you can see the logs, the processing, the bash, and those things. Now we will go to the instances, and I'm just copying the DNS name of the specific instance. So this is the DNS name. I can directly click on here, or even I can copy it. I'm just clicking on it. So when I clicked it, here you can see the simple PHP app. PHP application is now running on the host PHP app 1 in our dedicated environment in the AWS cloud, and this host is running in PHP version. So successfully, our PHP application has been deployed. So in this video, we have successfully created and deployed our PHP application using AWS OpsWorks. Thanks for watching the video.